And I think it's that part of all this where I bow to nobody in my admiration of Great Ormond Street. I had a cousin worked there for a very long time as a paediatric neurologist, right in this area. And it's astonishing hospital, does astonishing work. The one area I have a slight problem with is it's not allowing any room here for that part of the equation, which is there's another form of treatment. It probably won't help, but it just might. Why can't we just let this little boy and his parents go and try? I don't get that point.
So we have to look at benefit versus risk. What we don't know is what the potential risks of this treatment are. Reportedly, they are very low. It's a treatment that's not been very well researched.
Why does it matter? Given the boy is
well, it matters, I suppose, because if the treatment would in itself cause suffering to the child, that would be a big risk.
Well, it's that. Would the treatment cause suffering? There are the inherent risks involved if he needs to be transported to America. There are risks involved in transporting critically ill children around.
But that's a risk the parents are prepared to take, knowing the risks that are involved. And actually, how does the situation get any worse? Should he, you know, for argument's sake, die in transit? How is that any worse than turning off his machine in the next few days? In other words, if you're the parents, I don't see how you don't look at this and go, how could it be any worse anyway? Why not give us a little chance?
So I think, in answer to your question of what's the difference between him dying in transit and turning off the machine, I think personally there's a huge difference, because it's a question of dignity in death.
Yeah, but his parents surely should have that final say, shouldn't they? It's their child. It's
their child, but ultimately we have to think of the well-being of the child. And this is a really difficult one for us as paediatricians. If I was an adult with a terminal illness, I could write a living will and say, I'm willing to let you go this far. A child, to an extent, it has to come from the parents.
If this was your child, how would you feel? Seriously.
OK, so if this was my child, as a parent, what parent would not cling on to any hope that there might be?
But how would you react to doctors and courts telling you in the final days, weeks of your child's life that you have zero rights to even try experimental treatment, which you know from other parents who have kids with slightly different strain of this condition, for want of a better phrase, that they have had improvement? I just find this so hard to grasp that there's nobody prepared to just say, what have we got to lose here?
Well, this comes back to my original point of we need to be trying to make collaborative decisions with parents.
Yeah, but it's not collaborative, is it? But at the moment, they're being told, no, but you are not allowed to. There's no collaboration. But they're just told by the doctors and by the courts, no. Where is the collaboration?
Because the collaboration hasn't happened, because common ground hasn't been able to be established. I haven't been involved in the case and the discussions, but usually in this situation, it's a case of the doctors have made objective assessments. Now, we're talking about Great Ormond Street here. As you've said, we're not talking about cowboys.
No.
We're talking about people who know what they're doing, and in their detailed assessments, of which I haven't seen the medical notes, so I can't comment on what assessments have been done, in their opinion, any escalation of treatment would not be effective and would serve to prolong his suffering.
I get that. But if you were Great Ormond Street, it's got such an amazing reputation. Yet this morning, the front pages of 3 major papers have all cleared the decks, right, for this story. It's putting huge pressure now on Great Ormond Street.
Well, which is why it's going back to the High Court today. And presumably, there is new evidence which allows for this High Court hearing.
Well, my understanding is that Great Ormond Street received a letter signed by several paediatricians from around the world. It came from, I think, the hospital in the Vatican. And in that letter, it was suggested that they had new evidence that had not been previously considered that suggested that the proposed treatment may have had a higher chance of success than previously thought. Now, as things stand at the moment, in terms of a legal situation, Great Ormond Street, even if they knew for sure that that was the case, would not be allowed to give that because the law as it stands at the moment has ruled that they can only withdraw treatment. And I think it's absolutely the right thing to go back to court. And I think it's in Charlie's interest and his parents' interests and Great Ormond Street's interest to analyse this evidence. What I don't know is what that evidence is.
No.
What I don't know is whether any of the doctors who have signed this letter have had access to all of Charlie's investigations, all of Charlie's medical records, or whether they've actually seen him.
What we do know is the longer they just talk about this, nothing's happening.
That's correct.
So you know, the chances of any experimental treatment working I presume, given his condition, recede by the day, which is why the parents are so... Look, I just find it such a heartbreaking case.
I don't think any of us would disagree with you, Piers, in the profession.
And I'm not casting aspersions on any of the experts. It just seems to me such a weird situation where we all know there is something there which could give them something. And yet the system is at the moment conspiring, for the best interests, I'm sure, but is conspiring to stop these parents having one last chance with their boy.
We'll find out. Well, we'll find out today at the High Court what happens. Dr. Ravi Jairam, thank you very much indeed for joining us.